Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to today's Postgrad Insights session. Today's session is brought to you by LIBF. It is a rescheduled session from a couple of weeks ago. Those of you that were watching will note we had a couple of technical difficulties, which does happen, unfortunately, because it's the live element of it. But we are back today and we're back to go through it in more detail. So I'd like to hand you over to Freddie. Freddie will be taking you through to the next 30, 40 minutes. I'll be back for the Q&A at the end with Darren, answering any questions that you might have. Freddie, over to you.
Thanks so much, Gareth. Good afternoon, everyone. As Gareth said, my name is Freddie McCann. I'm here today to talk to you from LIBF. So we're going to run through a bit of detail regarding our online studies at LIBF and everything that sort of comes into that aspect as well. So as I said, my name is Freddie McCann. I've been at the team here at LIBF for about 5 years, and I'll be running you through today's presentation. So what we're going to be talking about today, how the sort of session is going to be split up. First of all, we're going to get to know who LIBF are, a little bit about our history, our heritage, what we do, why we do it as well, which I think is really important, and how that's going to benefit you for your future career and your academic future as well. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about online studies. Now, online studies could be quite a big decision to make when you're going to progressing on to what's next for your higher education. So what does online studies actually look like? What are the sort of benefits that you get from that, and why that might be geared up for you as a prospective student? Then move on to the type of degrees that we have, application processes as well, the admissions criteria, and how you can actually get that application in. Moving on, we'll go on to tuition fees, a little bit about scholarships and how the fee structure works. And then finally, at the end, we'll move on to any questions that the audience have got. So first of all, why study at LIBF? So there's 5 key aspects here that really sort of sticks out to what we do at LIBF. The first one is around flexible learning. So how we've sort of designed our courses and why we do what we do is really with the student at the forefront of what our thinking is. Our courses are designed to be as flexible as possible for the learner, from starting any day of the week, any day of the year that they want to, starting their modules at any time, starting their exams at any time. And every student's different in terms of what their experiences is, what their situation's like, if they've got family commitments, work commitments, travel commitments. All of our courses are designed differently for how the student wants to learn. And that is with the sort of thinking here at LIBF is that we want as many students to be able to experience higher education as possible, which is why we've designed our courses with as flexible and as many different options as possible. That sort of links onto the accessible education. So that doesn't just mean flexibility in terms of flexibility on starting dates and times, but also we want to get as many students onto our courses as possible. So when we're looking at the admissions criteria to come onto our courses, we do very much take into consideration contextual offers, recognition of prior learning as well, as a value and a sort of key ethic of what we want to do here at LIBF is that accessible education for all. So we want to try and get as many students onto courses to really progress into terms of their career aspects for once they finish their qualification that they decide to study. Fully supported. So online learning doesn't mean you're completely on your own, you're separate, you've got no support at all. We are really keen to support you and we're sort of proactive in that support metric as well. So dedicated tutor supporting, career coaches, study coaches, all of those support networks are in place that although you're studying online in your own time, you've got the staff there, you've got people there to support you to make sure you get through the rest of your studies. World-class education. So from industry experts, we've also got we've got 140 years worth of experience from LIBF. So we've been doing this a long time. We know how to get students through their courses with the best marks possible, with the best support possible. We've also got a silver rated in the Teaching Excellence Framework in the TEF in 2023. We've also got a load of different accreditations and memberships worldwide, which I'll mention in a few slides' time. Finally, you are supercharged. So we have actually embedded AI into to make it as a big an advantage for students as possible. You've got your own AI study buddy, Centea, which is designed to help students actually complete their modules faster, 27% faster to be precise, but also really designed for you as your student to support you through your learning experience. We've got AI courses, but we've also got AI embodied into our learning experience to really support the students through their learning. And especially when you're studying online, that AI study tool is really beneficial for students. So who we are in numbers, as I mentioned previously, we're over 140 years old. So we've been in education for a long time. We've got that experience of learners from all over the world, from different situations, to support them throughout their learning experience to really get those positive outcomes and link into a future career as well. Our first degree level qualification was back in 1995. Prior to that, there was more professional based qualifications. And as I mentioned, we are internationally recognized and accredited, which we'll talk about shortly. What makes LIBF stand out a little bit to other online providers is we're not just here to sort of support you onto a course from an education standpoint, which we'll do, but we really want to support you in terms of the careers and employability aspect when you're finished. We want our students to come on, do whatever degree they want to do, but then support them as much as possible to progress them into future world of work. We want our students to come here to become as employable as possible, to learn as many skills as possible, to progress, to go into whatever career path they want to go into. And that can really be seen throughout our stats. As you can see, 90% of our students who graduated in 2022 are either in paid employment or pursuing further studies. These stats can all be found on the HESA graduate outcome surveys. And it does surpass the sector average, which is 88%. Also, in terms of the amount of courses we've got 40 plus courses ranging from bachelor's, master's, and MBA courses. So obviously for this group, postgraduate qualifications in subjects such as business management, data and IT, engineering, technology, marketing, communications. So the flexibility on the type of courses that you want to do from an MBA and master's level are there. We are globally recognized and accredited, as I mentioned. I think this is really important for prospective students to know, because the reason LIBF are part of these membership groups, so you can see some on the side here, you've got GUNI, the Global University Network for Innovation, the International Council for Open and Distance Education, Advanced HE, and AACSB, the Business Education Alliance. The reason that's important to know, because as an institution, as a LIBF, we want to always progress. We always want to get better. We always want to improve. And being part of these networks, being part of these memberships gives us the chance to share best practice, communicate with other people globally who work in the higher education space. So we are always progressing. We're always improving with the main focus of student experience, student satisfaction, the employability aspect, the networks and connections that we get. So we're always in the background working on improving us so the students get the best experience possible as well. As well as memberships, we've got accreditation. So we are accredited by the CMI, the Chartered Management Institute. And when that relates to the master's programs, the MBA, the MSc in Management, and the MSc in International Management are all CMI accredited courses. So when you register for one of those courses and complete the courses, you'll have that CMI accreditation next to your name, which is also globally recognized. A few bits more information, as you can see there. All of our programs teaching and resources are aligned with the European Standards Guidelines. And also another important professional membership that you'll get is with LIBF. So as soon as you come onto one of our LIBF qualifications, you'll be an LIBF professional member, joining a network of over 29,000 members worldwide, where you can share best practice, you can build up your network, you can attend networking webinars, and get the experience to really network and meet other people from the LIBF family. So how it actually works, online learning with LIBF. So as I mentioned at the start, the flexibility is a really important piece, and it's going to be different for every single type of student, which is what makes it so unique. We've got 3 different options. We've got the full-time option, which is 9 modules in total, approximately around 37 hours a week, which goes over 12 months. The part-time option 1, which is 6 modules a year, approximately 25 hours a week, and that goes over 18 months. And part-time option 2, 4 to 5 modules a year, approximately 19 hours a week, and that's over 24 months. But that is the sort of desired and recommended structure. The beauty of flexibility and online learning, there could be a week where you are flat out at work, you don't have any time to complete your studies. The next week might be a lot clearer, where you can then dip in and start completing a few more modules, looking at some more of the learning resources. So although there's recommended learning, which our team obviously will offer you when you register, it's that flexibility piece. So you can really pick and decide when you actually do your studies. And when I talk about how the modules, the lectures, and all that sort of stuff is designed, in a few slides' time, you understand how that works in a bit more detail. But like I said, you can download a course schedule to see the recommended schedule and how it works for you. You can decide when you start your module. You can register for your My Campus, and you can obviously go into those modules. And as I mentioned at the start, you can also choose when to take exams, which is another really important aspect. So studying online, once again, because you're studying online, doesn't mean you don't get all the fantastic resources that you normally would on campus type of studies. We actually try to make them as innovative as possible, try and be as engaging as possible, as online learning might be new for some people. But you can access My Campus, where everything you need to know is there. It's very mobile friendly. It's a digital campus in your pocket that you can access at any point. Digital lecture, ebooks for learning, reinforcement. All our lectures are pre-recorded lectures and tutorials, so you don't have to attend live sessions. They're pre-recorded, so you can dip in and out whenever suits your sort of time frame and your lifestyle for you to be able to complete those lectures. Like I said, we try to make it as innovative as possible. So it's not just ebooks and online resources. We've also got things like academic journals. We've also got videos, podcasts, practical tests to make the experience as different as possible. Everyone's got different learning styles. Some people might prefer the video aspect, the podcast aspect, all those academic journals. So trying to incorporate as many different learning methods as possible to support as many different students as possible as well. And on top of that, you also get exclusive access to LinkedIn Learning. So something you might want to do in your own time to continue and to progress in terms of loads of different skills that you can access on LinkedIn Learning. And when I spoke about the fact that we want our students to become as employable as possible, accessing LinkedIn Learning is going to support you do that as well. Online, though, we still want you to be able to communicate and connect with tutors and students. The tutors and the students you can interact with via the course feed. And there's also online groups to connect with other students, so you can exchange ideas, get support, have conversations with them, see how things are going, so you don't feel alone. You still have that connection with your peers as well. And then booking exams. You can book exams anytime, any day via My Campus. You have to complete the required amount of modules, so you're as prepared and ready for the exam as possible. And you'll also receive your results around 6 weeks after the exam date. But a bit more on exams coming up now. Once again, they're fully flexible and online, so you can complete your exams anytime that you want, 24/7, 365 days a year from anywhere you want. There's so many positives from this, which you can see on here. In terms of the stress-free factor is really important. If you have had a really bad day beforehand, or if you're feeling ill, you've got other commitments and you can't change that exam day, all the work that you've put in goes down to the exam. And if you're not in the right headspace, you're not in the right environment that you want to be in, that can normally have a big impact. However, you can pick which environment you're in, you can pick what day you do it, making sure you are as 100% prepared as possible. So nothing can really get in the way of you getting that final grade and getting the best sort of mark once you finish the course as well. Also, time and cost saving, no travel hassles, no travels to exam centres. So 100% of people can be doing it wherever they feel safe and wherever they are in the world. You can also request a review of your grade and ask to retake your exam as well. My Campus, which is the sort of online learning environment. So different support that we can sort of support you with through there. The first one's really important. That's onboarding. Obviously, we're telling you there's all these fantastic resources, all these really super flexible ways of you learning. That might sound quite daunting because you think, well, how am I actually going to access this if I'm on my own? I need to get the onboarding done. I need to learn how to actually find everything on the My Campus platform. We'll make sure we guide you on an onboarding process before you've started. So in terms of knowing where everything is, you'll have an onboarding session to make sure you feel as comfortable as possible with the learning environment. You can access everything at any point as well. Then there's 4 different types of support. The first one's tutor support. So this is more of an academic-based support on the modules and the courses that you're actually studying. You can receive this sort of personalized academic support online, and they'll sort of also supervise you for your final dissertation piece. But this is more of the academic-based support. The study coaches, this is really regarding sort of things like time management, motivation. Obviously, studying online can be difficult. As we've mentioned at the start, you might have other commitments, work commitments, family commitments. So fitting it in from a time standpoint is a piece of work in itself, really. So to make sure you feel as comfortable and prepared as possible. Also, the motivation. Now, motivation can sort of sometimes be hard to get yourself going when it's online, especially if you've been working full time and you've got other commitments, I say, going on. To build that motivation up to continue learning can be a bit difficult. So your study coach is there to support you through these different aspects. The career coaching, like I said, supporting you with CVs, cover letters, mock interviews, all these sort of things to make sure when you are coming to apply for jobs, if after your studies or during your studies, you feel prepared as possible. And then the student office are there for more administrative tasks, enrollment, payments, and all that sort of stuff as well. So the career service, as I mentioned, one of the sort of unique things that we have here, and you can see that through our graduate outcome stats, it's something that we really want our students to come onto to really make sure they progress into the job after. Online group career coaching to really focus on making sure you feel as employable as possible, as comfortable as possible, so you're always progressing whilst you're studying with us. Get support with looking at CVs, cover letters, all that sort of stuff. So this is the individual coaching part of making sure you feel as employable as possible. You then move on to the actual resources. So on demand, at any point, online career resources that you can look back on, support you with getting your own CV up and running. You've then got the career center, which is more of the sort of networking opportunities in terms of seeing what jobs are out there. And also you can get job alerts directly to your inbox. So to make sure you feel connected all the time, you're aware, you're in the right place, you're getting all these fantastic career opportunities being sent over to you. And then you've got the psychometric tests. So these are more real life experiences to make sure you sort of understand what the video interview aspect's going to be like. So you can do mock interviews, you can really go through what the sort of interview questions are going to be like. So it's a bit more real life experience. So you've got the mix of the coaching to make sure you feel as prepared, the resources, so you can always connect with those resources to make sure you're always improving what you're doing, the network with the career center, and then those tests and the real life experience. Our study programs and how to actually apply now. So you've got 7 different steps, which I'll just go through here. First of all is selecting your course and funding options. Obviously, you can get through student loan as well, so make sure the student loan, or if it's self-funding, to put that down on your application. Check you meet the eligibility requirements, which we'll talk about shortly. Complete your online degree application. You then go through to sign in your study contract. That's when you organise your funding, be a student loan or if it's self-funding. You'll receive your enrolment confirmation, and then you're ready to start your chosen date. So at the start, when I said you can start anytime you want, you can go through this process. You don't have to start straight away. You can give it a few weeks, you can give it a few months. And then also when you have actually started, you do have a 2-week sort of period to trial it, to see if you like it. No funding will be coming out, no fees will be paid. It's a 2-week trial to see if this is for you, if online learning is for you, if you're comfortable with the learning environment in every aspect of there. So you've got 2 weeks after you've actually started to really decide if it's for you as well. But this is the step-by-step base that you'll take. If you are interested, you do get in touch with us. Our study advisors will be able to remind you of this process, and they'll be supporting you the whole way through this process as well. Also, a really important one, going back to that accessibility, we do recognize your prior achievements. So there is an aspect if you want to potentially apply, if you've already got some prior credits from other qualifications. The process of that, you discuss your recognition options with your study advisor, you complete our recognition of prior learning form, and you submit that form through to our team as well. All the documents you need there. But once again, once you get in touch with us, if this is the case, and you do have certain vocational training or education qualifications that you think will give you some prior learning credits, then talk to the study advisors and they'll be able to support you through that whole process. So tuition fees. So how these are split up for the postgraduate and MBA options. The full-time is $9,750 a year. Part-time 1, $6,500 a year. Part-time 2 is $4,875 a year. For the MBA, $10,250 a year. The part-time 1, 6,833 a year, and part-time 2 is 5,125 a year. Once again, as I mentioned, go through student loans finance for UK students as you would for other qualifications. And if you're self-funding, you can get that message over to your study advisors at the time and talk about potential payment plans and how the funding and the payment structure will work. We also offer a LIBF scholarship of 1,200 towards tuition fees. So for this, you've got to be an applicant for one of our courses and also have a net household income of less than 3,500 a month. Postgraduate students who received a master's loan are still eligible for the scholarship. And how to apply is all on the slides here, which will be shared with you guys after. But once again, as soon as you have the conversation with the study advisors, when you're going through the application process, and you want more information on the scholarship or you think you might be eligible, have that conversation with them and they'll be able to support you through the scholarship process, how it works, when the payments come through, and who's really eligible to take part in those applications. So finally, if you're based in the UK, we'll also provide you with a free iPad before your course begins. So this iPad will support you. Everything will be set up already so that My Campus will be on there. And this tool will hopefully be able to help you access everything that you need in a really flexible way. If you're on the move, if you're traveling to work, if you're going on holiday, anything like that, the iPad will obviously really support you through that process as well. Depending on your start date, you'll receive your iPad 5 weeks after successful enrollment. We can't unfortunately give these out to international students at the moment, but that is something that we're working on moving forward. And the important thing, when you graduate, it will be a gift for you. So that's it from myself. I'm now going to open up the floor to any questions from the audience. Myself and my colleague Darren are both here. So any questions that anyone's got, we'll be happy to help.
Excellent, Freddie. Thank you very much. Darren, if you want to come on at this point, your camera's just off at the moment, if you want to turn that one on. Look, we've got a few questions. I always find it fascinating going through different presentations.
I can't, Gareth, I can't start my camera because it says the host has stopped it.
Oh, so apologies. I'll try and do that now. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, I find it fascinating hearing from different universities and various different aspects on what separates them, what makes them different to other universities and other establishments. Now, one of the things that stood out to me for you guys is actually the way you look after a student. It can be very difficult, especially online, to have that kind of, how do I put it, that kind of home feel that when you move somewhere, you're actually moving somewhere, you're making a big sacrifice. But that really stands out for me. Darren, if you just want to elaborate further on that, I think Freddie kind of mentioned it already, but how you kind of help students, especially international students, feel like they're at home.
Well, yeah, I mean, right from the very start, right from our first engagement with the student, there are two aspects to the support. There's the pre-enrollment support. That's where myself and my team come in, and we look after the student right from the first contact they had with us, right up through the application process, helping them, advising them what documents they need, helping them put together the application, talking to them about the scholarship, recognition of prior learning. We help with all that aspect of things right up until the day they're enrolled. Once they're enrolled, they then go through our onboarding program. So on the day of their studies, the morning of their study start date, they receive 2 emails, one with their login details, their LIBF email address, and their login details for My Campus. So they can then log into My Campus and there'll be an onboarding sessions available for them. There'll be welcome events scheduled in the in My Campus that they could sign up to, and they can also then get access to the study coaches and book a session with the study coaches who will go through how to use My Campus, where to find all the different information there. And then the other support services are available through My Campus as well.
Are they able to, well, I say they, are students able to communicate directly with other students? I've seen there's platforms that you can use to kind of directly do that, but presumably that's all in that portal.
Yes, it is. We have a system called Viva Engage. And within Beaver Engage, there are different forums for all the different courses that are available. So they can choose to go into a general forum with the on the particular course they're doing, whether it's an international management course or data science masters or even the MBA. There'll be information from the expert tutors within those course feeds as well. But there's also then the opportunity to go into personal groups, so they could set up their own groups with their peers and reach out to peers and ask them if they want to form a study group. So they could form their own study groups and ask questions of each other. They can even set up video links and have chats like we are now and just discuss things. So all of those things are available through my campus.
Excellent. And I'm going to move on to the popular topic now when it comes to distance learning and online learning. Freddie, do feel free to come in if you want to at any point, by the way. One of the things that's mentioned is English language requirement. Now, it's always a bit of a sticking point because people think, well, I'm from South Africa or I'm from Turkey. My English is pretty good already. Does it matter? I can use AI, whatever. Of course, it matters. What are your requirements with that, and how do you help students come on board with that?
Okay, well, there's two basic requirements. If they're a non-native English speaker, there's two ways to qualify under the English language thing. If their bachelor's degree was taken in English or was studied at an English university, even if it was studied abroad, if the medium of instruction for that was English, and it confirms that on the paperwork, on the transcripts, or then that negates the need for any external English language certificates. If they don't have that, if it was taught in their own a different language, non-native English speaking, then they would need to provide us either with an IELTS certificate, TOEFL, Cambridge, or Duolingo certificate.
Yeah, Pearson, them, yeah.
The IELTS requirement is 6.5 or above, with no element below 6. And the Duolingo, they're the two most popular ones and the two most common. The Duolingo test for masters is 110 overall, with no element below 100.
Excellent. And when it comes to, I mean, the only thing we haven't really mentioned there is the employment, because there might be people and students that done an undergrad degree, let's say in French, but have since moved to London, let's say, or they've moved to somewhere where it's English speaking. Does that have any relevance or not if their employment is in English, or is it purely on the academic side of things?
It's purely done on the academic side of things. For master's degrees as well, it has to be at the English has to be at an appropriate level.
Yeah.
So if they're non-native English speakers, they've moved to the UK and completed a bachelor's degree in the UK, then that is an appropriate level, that English.
Okay. I understand that there'll be students that have asked in previous webinars as well, what do I need to do? I've studied a master's, whatever it's an MBA, whatever the course might be. It might be in a different language, maybe it's German, and now their English is very good. Do they still need that? But yes, they do, is the answer to that.
Yes, it's an absolute requirement that
okay.
they must have that level of English language skills, either through the IELTS test, the Duolingo test, or the other certificates I mentioned, or through previous studies at bachelor's degree level or above.
Absolutely. And let's talk about employment. I'm pleased I brought that up, actually, because that's so key for students, especially when they move somewhere. If it's an on-campus course, you have that feel of, I'm moving to that country. I'm from the UK. I'm moving to London. It's a big thing for students, affordability, anxious times, and whatnot. What options are there when you're studying online to ensure that if you come and study with LIBF, there are employment options afterwards, and you're partnered with people and whatnot?
I'll hand that one over to Freddie, for the career side of things.
Yeah, of course. And I think the important thing to say at the start is it's very much embedded into the sort of DNA of what LIBF have done over 140 years. So obviously our online degrees just begun, but we have also traditionally done on-campus degrees and with professional qualifications as well. So the network that the institution have of professionals who are now working in the sector who come back to network with our prospective students and give back to want to speak at webinars and engage in that different way and engage with our careers team on the online platform as well as the on-campus platform is absolutely massive. And that's because, like I said, with the connections from our professional qualifications in the past, through the other work that we've done in the institution, it's sort of more embedded into what we want our students to get. But also, as I mentioned, you've got the sort of career service who are really, really proactive with our students to engage in with them to make sure they feel like they can have online career coaching sessions. They can really look at those sort of soft employability skills to improve them. The webinars where you've got employers coming back in to talk to prospective students, the networking opportunities through those online webinars as well. So the support through the career side of things is something that they're really proactive with. And I do think that's more of a LIBF thing as a whole in terms of what we've done previously in the past and why we feel like education is important. We are there to really understand that, yes, students want to learn from an education standpoint, but the reason they're coming onto these courses is really to progress from a careers aspect once they finished.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely spot on. There's so much, there's almost a myth going around in the past few years that if you do an online course, it doesn't have the same standing, and it absolutely does. I think it used to in certain countries like China and maybe other countries in the Far East, but I think globally now online it's much more appreciated, right, that as just as much as on campus, and also as well important to remember if you do an on-campus course, most of it is blended learning post-COVID now as well. So, you're not actually losing out on that much. You're actually kind of doing an online course, whereas most on-campus students will kind of do that anyway.
Exactly. I think, as you know, networking nowadays from a professional standpoint is done a lot of the time online as well. So in terms of what the employers are actually looking for in terms of how they want to engage with students and how we want the skills of students to progress when they are in the world of work, it's an online platform, it's an online situation as well.
Great stuff. I want to wrap things up as well, talk about funding and scholarship. I think it's always a popular topic. And I know you mentioned your £1,200 scholarship that you offer, or funding that you offer, in addition to the iPad as well, which I think I know you're working on it for international students, but for UK students, it's like a graduation in itself, being able to keep an iPad, which is great. But talk to me about that. Can students apply for external scholarships and funding in addition to that? Does it matter what they've applied for before? And how do you help in terms of applying for that funding?
With regard to funding, we will help and assist them if they're going through student finance. So we will give them guidance on where to apply, what to apply for, and just help on that side of things. With our scholarship side as well, we'll also talk through the eligibility requirements of it. We can send them the scholarship application form directly to them to fill in, so that they can then send it back to us with their application. That then will get applied to the study contract and reduce their fees down. So if for example they might be being sponsored by their company to do this as well, we could also help on that side. So we will get typically a letter from the employer confirming that they are sponsoring the student, and then that will go through to our finance team, and the company would be invoiced for the tuition fees rather than the individual themselves.
Yeah.
Which is a double benefit because A, it puts the onus on the company to pay, and B, it helps with the company with their training budgets and everything else for tax purposes.
I know what you mean by that, Darren. It's it does have huge perks, and being based in London, being a London-based institution as well, having that on your CV is a huge coup for any kind of institution or any kind of student to be associated with that business as well. So that's fantastic. And just finally, if students want to apply and they want to find out more information, where should they head over to? What would be the next best course of action if they wanted to apply, and when are the intake dates?
Okay, if they wanted to apply, just simply go to our website, www.libf.ac.uk. There's all of the information about the various different degrees that we do. For master's degrees, they simply click on the postgraduate tab. Yeah. There's all of the information about the various different postgraduate degrees that we do there. Once they're satisfied that that is the course they want to do, they've got two options. They can either request a prospectus on that particular course and all the information will be emailed to them, or if they're satisfied that they've got all the information that they need, they can click on the Apply Now button. And they can then fill in the online application. That will generate their study contract, and there will also be a list of documents on. Once they've done that, there'll be a list of documents that they need to send us or upload to complete the application.
And presumably, it doesn't matter when they start. Sorry to cut you off, but it doesn't matter when they start because they'll do the same amount of credits no matter what.
Exactly right. Yeah. So when they're doing their application, they can choose their own start date. So there'll be an option to either take the earliest default date, which is generally about 10 days ahead of today's date. So whichever date they're doing that application, the earliest start date will generally be about 10 days after that. But they can change that and choose whichever day they want, right up to 12 months in advance.
Excellent. And just finally, just to wrap up as well, we spoke about the intake dates there. We've spoken about applying. How important is it to remember for a student that this is their postgraduate studies? It's for them, when you are effectively applying, you need to give the best example of who you are, because obviously when you're reading through, whether it be your CV, resume, personal statement, they are who they are, and they're not using artificial intelligence. I won't name the platforms, but we all know what they are, to kind of give a representation of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we do as part of the enrollment process anyway, once we have all the relevant documentation, the study contracts and the relevant documentation, which is the copy of their bachelor's degree certificate and transcripts, copy of their CV, a copy of a valid ID that we would need. That's the minimum requirements, and English language certificate, obviously, if they need one of those. They will then be invited for a video meet and greet. So they will then have a video call with their personal study advisor, who will go through the course with them again. It's their chance to ask any questions and give an impression of why they want to do the course and everything else. So we've got that video connection with them as well. So that's all part of the application and onboarding process.
Superb. Darren, Freddie, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Been good to catch up. It's good to re-record the webinar, make sure everything was okay. No technical issues this time. So anyone else watching today, thank you very much. It has been streamed on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So if anyone has any questions, please point it in my direction, Gareth@postgradsolutions.com, or you can simply post on the comments on here and you'll have any questions answered as soon as possible. But for now, Darren, Freddie, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Nice
Gareth,
to see you.
thanks very much.
Bye.